Yeah, g'day. Scott Farley here from Klik Sinkers. Today I'm just making a quick little video to introduce you to the Klik Sinker snap-on, snap-off range of fishing sinkers, give you a bit of background about how they came about, and describe some of the design features that allow them to be quite robust and a long-lasting asset in your fishing box that'll help you outfish your mates and to explore strike zones for many years to come. So Klik Sinkers came about when 4 years ago a guy named Rob Lang visited me in my office at F3 Industrial Design, where I'm a professional industrial designer, and he asked me to develop a snap-on sinker. And as soon as I heard the idea, I loved it, and we formed a partnership. I'm here in the test lab, or the prototyping lab at F3 Industrial Design. It's a very important part of what we do, testing and prototyping and experimenting. Behind me you'll see a little test rig which we use to test the cases of the Klik Sinkers to make sure that every production run has the right specification of material. So as a professional industrial designer, we always ask ourselves the questions, why would you actually go to the effort of changing something that already exists in a format? There must be a beneficial reason for doing that. No point in designing something simply for the sake of change. So we've had the standard ball sink around for many thousands of years. The Egyptians were using these in a similar format 7,000 years ago, in a format where it's basically just a heavy object with a hole through the middle of it, through which you thread your line and weight your nets or your bait down so that's in the strike zone, ready for a fish to take it. And the reason is simply that by easily and simply being able to change the weight up or down, you are able to explore a water column or a water feature or a beach or a gutter, and this is a huge benefit when you're trying to outfish your mates. No, it's actually really good for just the exploration of an area, getting in the strike zone and then staying there, and knowing what sort of weight will get you in that strike zone and then staying there. So here's a pack of the standard Klik Sinkers, number 8 size Klik Sinkers. These come in a packet, and you'll notice they have a plastic outer. So this is a really well researched and tested polymer that is very robust, very impact resistant, and has great live hinge properties. So how do Klik Sinkers work? Well, they're a simple clamshell design. They have a clasp at the front and a hinge at the back, both minimised to stopping your snag points. They open just through the front clasp here, so you basically put your fingernail under there, pick the clasp open, and they're free to open. We've made the inserts a fixed part of the product, so they won't ever fall out, and that allows you to have a single unitary product, similar to the ball sinker, which doesn't, fall apart and you don't lose any parts. The hinge is minimised, and it's made in a special way that allows all the molecules to align through that hinge, making a very small hinge, very fragile looking hinge, very, very tough. So you can open and shut this thing 1,000 times without any damage to it. It's designed specifically to do it. The impact resistance of the material is also very important. We do a drop test at 1.2 metres onto a cement block 20 times on each batch of material to make sure that their material is up to spec, and it's all UV stabilised so it can handle the sun rays. The front clasp, obviously being made of the same material, has great memory and strength properties, so that can open and shut thousands of times as per the hinge. The way they work, you open them up and you put them over your line through the channel, you can see that there, and then snap them on, and they act exactly the same way as a standard ball sinker, with all the strength of a ball sinker. And then when you take them off, you can also run them, if you wish, through the rear part of the flat part on the sinker. So you can actually run your line through the rear part there, and you can run it as a fixed sinker, so that won't slide. That's just an added feature that can be useful in some situations. The strength of the product when it's shut comes through this sawtooth feature inside the front of the lead section. So basically this sawtooth here will interact with this sawtooth here, and when the clamshell is shut, there's no way this can move either way. It takes all the pressure off the hinge and the front clasp. So all the pressure is basically taken up by the lead inside here, and the front clasp can actually be minimised and not have to be over-engineered, which would cause a snag point or a point that causes resistance in the water. Also, the benefit of this sawtooth feature is that it encapsulates the line inside the lead aspect, so there's no more wear on your fishing line in this snap-on fishing sinker than there is on a ball sinker, because all the friction, all the pressure's on the lead aspect of the line and not on the plastic. The plastic has a clearance hole so that the line doesn't rub on it, and also the plastic is less abrasive than mono, so it wouldn't affect it even if it did touch it. So that's basically the crux of it. It's basically a snap-on fishing sinker that acts exactly the same as a standard ball sinker, but with the added functionality of being able to quickly add and remove your sinker and change weights quickly, so that you can explore the water column and get in the strike zone quicker, and the current changes or the condition change, adapt again to stay in that strike zone. So now I'll just run you through some of the test equipment we use to test the sinkers, the batches of materials that come through. So every time we have a new batch of material, it has to be tested to make sure that the product is up to spec and will last in your tackle box for many years to come. The polymer we've specified for the Klik Sinkers is very high-end engineered material, quite unique. Obviously the hinge on the back of the product is quite critical to its operation. So we basically have this material which is good in impact resistance, great UV stabilisation and great hinge properties. The way we test each batch of material is we take a random selection of cases from the batch, and we put a number of them in this test machine. Each time this machine oscillates, it opens and shuts the sinker one time. So we try and run that 1,000 times to make sure that it far exceeds the life expectancy of any sinker, which may open and shut 100 times in its life. So if you get 1,000, this is 1,300 oscillations, we know that it's a good batch of material and hasn't been compromised in any way. The other thing we have to do with this material is make sure it has good impact resistance, so that if you ever were to drop the product, the sinkers onto the ground, it's not going to shatter on you. So we just have a simple little stand that's set at 1.2 metres. It just holds the sinker at the right height, and it falls onto a cement block. And we simply just take the product, again a random selection of material, samples from the production run. We just open it and let it drop onto the cement. We do that 20 times for each selection, just to make sure that there's no issue with the material as it comes through in the batch. Hopefully this short video is just giving you a bit of insight into the Klik Sinkers, how they came about, how to use them, and some of the quality features that we put into them to try and make them a long-lasting and valuable asset in your tackle box for years to come. Give them a try, they're really worthwhile, and you'll always outfish your mates and you won't look back.